Welcome back, Wagoneers, to another exciting episode of the Wasted Wagons podcast. With us here today, we got a little bit of a skeleton crew here today. We have, there's no Biff, no Mike. It's just Todd, Patrick, Russell, Sean, and myself. So we got a shorter crew today, but that doesn't matter to us. We're still going to have a great time tonight. Great place for us to start. We got a lot of sports talk today, but a good place for us to start would be yesterday. We actually had our Ultimate League fantasy draft, and that's a fun time for all involved. I always joke and say that it should be like a holiday. It's my probably one of my favorite days, if not my favorite day of the year. Largely strictly because it almost reminds me of like going back to high school, early college, and having everybody, sometimes guys you haven't seen in a little while. It's like that one time of the year you get to see them and hang out with them, and just really have a good time all day. We start the festivities usually around noon or 1, and then they go all the way until usually 10 or 11 at night. So, caps off the night, of course, with the fantasy football draft. But I guess since we kind of have a new guy to the group here as far as the Ultimate League, Russell, what was your take from yesterday? How did the experience fare for you?
So yesterday was fantastic. So it's the first time I've ever been a part of a fantasy football league or draft. Not a draft experience. I've been through draft experiences with kickball, but the whole day overall was pretty amazing yesterday. Just like you were saying, it felt good just kind of getting everybody together, doing swimming, barbecuing, and then having it end with the draft at the end, and it was just a fantastic day overall.
Okay.
The draft itself was really fun too. I mean, I had not little expectations. But what are you doing over there, Pat?
I'm trying to rig my shoulder out. Sorry, I'm broken. I'm broken.
Yeah, the actual draft experience was really cool. I had the initial plan of using artificial intelligence to make every single one of my decisions, and that kind of backfired on me a little bit. It was pulling data from old data.
The dryer is about to take off.
Is there an airplane in the backyard?
Do me a favor.
Shut the door, you fat hoe. It's already shut. Shit.
Start that because I can cut that part out. Go ahead.
So the whole draft experience was really nice. Since it's the first time, I really didn't have much of an expectations. But I mean, we're in this large group of people. Everybody's joking, having fun. Everybody's drinking, cracking beers. It was just a really good time. Yep. I tried to use that AI as much as I possibly could. It just did not work out like I wanted it to. It was pulling from old data. It was suggesting people that I don't even think are in the league currently.
Yeah.
So it was just outdated. So it was disappointing from that perspective because I wanted my decisions to be 100% based on AI, and it didn't get to that point. I was Googling stuff. Me and Mike were talking the whole time. And we ended up with a pretty solid team, I believe. So we'll see how the season goes.
Yeah. Well, look, one thing you have in your favor is y'all did have the first overall pick, taking over for the guy who finished last in the league last year, and starting off your first experience in fantasy football by drafting Christian McCaffrey is usually a pretty good thing. So, Todd and I actually were lucky enough last year to get him with the second pick. Because Biff and his brother and his dad decided that they had drafted Christian McCaffrey 1 year before, and he had gotten hurt. So they were like, he's just going to get hurt for us. So they went with Justin Jefferson, and then Justin Jefferson got hurt for him. But and then McCaffrey ended up being the guy that really kind of carried our team up into the championship. So
it's amazing how that happens sometimes.
Doing it again, I feel like I would definitely come in more prepared because I wasn't, since I was basing everything off that. I don't think I checked any type of injury report. I had the page up, I had that at the ready, but I wasn't flustered. But it moved a lot faster than I thought it was going to move when we were going through it.
So that actually got brought up yesterday a little bit as far as I think we have some guys in the league that seem to want the draft to run by quickly, and others that just don't care. Other people who just kind of sit there and this can take 4 or 5 hours, and I just don't care. And that's me. I fall into that boat. Again, this is one of my favorite days of the year. So if the draft took 5 or 6 hours, so be it. Again, I
wasn't in a rush.
To be that we were leaving here about 11 and thinking, I thought the draft was we had some walls, I guess, because me and Patrick were at the end waiting for. It's I was like, damn, we had 10 picks until our next one, or I gotta go to the bathroom or something. But still, we were leaving. It's only 11 o'clock. It didn't seem that late.
Yeah.
I went home. I was still up for another hour, a couple of hours. It's all later.
Yeah, I didn't have anything planned after. I thought we were going to be here a lot later, which wasn't a
Well,
problem.
funny, last year we went back to his house, and
Yeah.
I don't know how late we were there. It's just funny how it goes from year to year. Depends on who's here. You know, yeah, it's always a good day.
Yeah, we had a lot less interruptions, and certain people who like to make a big show and tell a story about why they're picking this person kind of kept it to a minimum.
Yeah.
So it made everything kind of just flow.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was any really egregious like time spent debating picks for when your turn was up. You do like, I'd say the average time was probably a minute and a half.
Yeah. I don't feel like anybody took more than 3 minutes per pick.
And yeah, and like a general clock, like if you did like a Yahoo draft, I think it's either a minute and a half or 2 minutes that they give you to make the pick. And I don't think many of us go over that significantly at all. But we do. I'm not saying any names, but we do have a couple of individuals in this league that seem to want to rush the draft through and make comments here and there about like, hey, you can just make the pick already. Say because I don't think any of us work on Sundays, so it's kind of like like you don't have to get up at work, up early for work on Sunday. So what does it matter if you hear an extra hour,
But these are the same nozzles that when we ask, like, hey, can you announce your pick when you put it on the board so everyone can hear you? They didn't do it, and I half jokingly, half being serious, would yell out, announce your pick.
Yeah.
So, hey, get the hint. Like, it helps because there's people in the back of the room or on the side where Sean and I were that you can't really see the board that well, and we don't have perfect vision. So, hey, could do everyone a favor and just say, I'm picking so-and-so or whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, this was one that, because I keep up the picks on my computer, and I cut them from that one page, put them on the draft board on my computer. This was one of the years that I felt like I was never like behind, like where sometimes people put the picks up so fast, and I'm like, wait, I'm like 3 picks behind, and I'm trying to like catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Not like it's like that the whole time, but I didn't have a moment like that at all. I mean, I felt like the draft was nice, paced perfectly fine. Usually happens towards the end. Everybody starts taking kickers and just flying through the last picks, but we still took our time.
Yeah, normally I feel like the last 2 rounds are just like this hodgepodge picks that everybody's just kind of throwing up there. And I feel like yesterday wasn't really like that. Actually, we still had people taking time with those picks.
Not once yesterday did I feel like rushed to make a pick, or anyone else was like really rushed. Nor was I counting down like, God, how long is this going to take? How long we're going to be? Because again, like you said, Travis, this is my day, and I book the whole day knowing like this is the only thing I'm doing. Yeah. Probably not going out afterwards, even though I don't want to, but I am here for the day, and this is all I have booked. So I'm in no rush for anything.
Yeah. Matt Morey arrived about noon, and I told everybody that the party was going to start at 1, but if anybody wanted to come help me grill, I'd start grilling around noon. And he didn't come with anything to grill. He came with a plate of chicken wings, and but he was just like, he's like, I told my wife that I'm going for the day. You might not see me till midnight, so I'll kiss you goodnight now because you probably won't see me till tomorrow morning. But same kind of thing. Like he just said that he just really looks forward to the day. Wanted to get an early start. He came and helped me barbecue, so I definitely appreciate that. And again, when I say like the idea of guys coming in from out of town, like Mark lives in Pittsburgh, so this is like the one time of the year that I see him. Matt Morey has been, he's busy with a lot of his family stuff, and we don't really see him that often. So this is, maybe the one year time of the year I see him. So it's just a overall good, really fun experience. Just again brings you back to like almost high school or college days.
Even though Matt, you could say like, why doesn't he hang out with us more? It's like when he is here, he sounds he genuinely likes to be here. It's not like he's legit busy. It's not like he's just showing up like for FOMO or something like that. He's like, we're just seeing Bob and, like asking him a bit for day something like that. I always seem to get in long conversations with him for some reason, just about anything, not necessarily reminiscing. It's just like I just haven't seen him in a while.
Speaking of Bob, I think Bob kind of almost took like Doug Lee did not make it physically to the draft this year, and he actually was texting Parson and Camden, Todd and I sons, to make these picks for him. But normally Doug is the biggest shit talker in the draft room. And
I was disappointed. No Zoom call with the Chardonnay.
So yeah, he's normally the biggest shit talker. He was not in the room. And I almost felt like Bob kind of almost took that role, like at least with Todd and I, with the shit talking.
Yeah, Bob was shit talking yesterday for sure.
He had his bourbon in the system, and he was talking a lot of crap, especially about Todd and I's picks. But anyway. So, speaking along the lines of picks, does anybody want to mention maybe some picks they made in the draft that they really enjoyed picking, or vice versa, or both? So even the ones that you're looking back now saying you kind of regret that you picked.
I don't know. For me, I'm kind of interested. Wasn't intending on necessarily waiting that long on quarterbacks, but it just fell that way, and it's just like, all right, let's just nab a couple of them and hope for the best. I mean, we were scrambling, taking, who did we have last year that was kind of early? That was not, not early, but Fields was much earlier. We were picking up waiver wire quarterbacks, and of course dumped Dak before he got better, but we ended up still second place with just like random quarterbacks sometimes. We had Gardner Minshew start 1 week, so.
I mean, I'm looking at our receivers, and obviously it's Travis has kind of mentioned this before. A lot of our pretty much all of our receivers here are either depending on breakout seasons or comeback seasons. We get Drake London, George Pickens, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Ladd McConkey, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I think Ladd McConkey is going to be a steal. I think he has potential to be a top target in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I really think Chris Godwin might be kind of a steal as well. He fell pretty late to us, but might have a real bounce back year for Sam.
One thing I did read about him was
I think Drake London's going to break through this year too, especially
actually having a quarterback that can throw him the ball.
So Godwin was one of the picks that AI kept telling me to pick, but like way early on.
Yeah, see, so one of the things that I noticed with yours is like when y'all drafted Mike Evans pretty early, and Baker Mayfield is their quarterback. Mike Evans and Baker developed like a really great relationship. I think Baker had a lot to do with Mike Evans re-signing in Tampa, and so they like each other. They have some chemistry. Godwin kind of fell off a little bit last year, but what I was reading up is that the guy Canales, who's now the head coach of the Panthers, he was the offensive coordinator for the Bucs last year, and he was using Godwin more as an outside receiver. And where Godwin's had a lot of his success in his career is as a slot receiver. And the new offensive coordinator is going to plan on putting him back in the slot. So he'll be like getting a lot of short dump offs. Again, maybe that's just early season, talk, and it may go back to the way it was last year. I don't know. But I am hopeful that he has that bounce back as a slot receiver. But as far as taking Evans and Godwin, I think you made the right choice by taking Evans first for sure. Just like you also had said that your AI was telling you to take Tyler Lockett over DK Metcalf.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another no-no, I would say. I think DK is still there. Their guy DK was on our championship team last year, and he did really well for us.
Did anybody draft Tyler Lockett?
No, I think he went undrafted because there's speculation that Smith and Jigba was supposed to pass him up this year.
I did write down a couple names that it suggested just to look at after the season's over to see like how they did, so I can immediately be slapping myself in the face like, why the hell did I not listen to the smart AI? Or
one thing I do want to throw out there that you said next year you're going to come in way more prepared with research. What I've kind of found, like, I don't even know if you really need to do that because like the fantasy football has been such a crapshoot. It's kind of like if your team can stay healthy, like that's pretty much the biggest piece of it. Like if you have a massive injury early on, that can really devastate your team. But if your team stays relatively healthy, you probably have a good shot to do pretty well.
It just goes against my nature. Like, I'm not used to not being prepared for things. That's like the injury. Like I got to go in and like sometimes way overboard.
I think I told you like kind of like in the days of before the draft, maybe a week before. I'm like, honestly, you could just go print out the ranking of the top 200 players, and as long as it has the bye week next to that player, so that you don't like start stacking players at the same position that have matching bye weeks. You literally are just taking the best available to you, unless there's a player you think that will have a breakout season, or you expect a player to like have a decline. The rest of it, you're kind of just taking what's best available because he's a good fit,
right?
And then the strategy, I guess, comes in what round do you take a certain player. Like a lot of the experts this year said, defense has not really won championships for fantasy because they're all about the same point total level. So don't draft them really high. Quarterback, you can wait till 4th, 5th round. And a lot of times that's fairly true, I think, for most people. Now, will someone go up and take a Mahomes or an Allen early because they just want that player and they think the point total is going to be high and good enough compared to, let's say, a Dak Prescott? Sure, you can do that. But really, at one point, you're taking the best available. And you just have to know the trends of, like, so the last few years, wide receivers have been way more valuable than, say, running backs. So you're probably taking receivers over that. The rest of it is just pick what's the best available.
For the most part, we followed that strategy, and especially we definitely had to make some decisions based off in bye weeks.
Yep.
The only standout, or I guess to circle back to the standout pick, I kind of wanted to take like a risky pick or give somebody a chance, and we got Ezekiel Elliott in the 8th-ish round or so. And he's been pretty steadily declining over the last couple of years.
He's back. They brought him back.
He's still penciled in as the starter right now.
I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. So
I saw that pick and I was like,
that was a pure like we're just going to give this dude a shot.
Yeah, I wasn't going to shit talk your pick because I'm sure y'all have a reason and it could work out. But I was like, I don't know about that one. But
it was a known risk.
I also chalk up to like this is y'all's first time having a team, doing a team. Obviously, your first time playing at all. So, fine, whatever. Had some other people who I think were more seasoned veterans in our league made that pick, I would have absolutely talked shit to them. Especially when if it's a commissioner that talks shit about other people in our team. I would have given them shit absolutely for that.
Well, I will say Ezekiel Elliott was on y'all's team in the championship last year, and he scored 2 touchdowns against us in the championship game.
Yeah.
That's true.
One of the guys that helped lead the comeback.
He absolutely had moments, but then he had some absolute stinkers is what to go with it. So that's why I was not really impressed with the pick, but also it's not the worst you could have done.
Yeah. Patrick, did you have any picks on y'all's team that you really liked or really hated?
I like the Laporta pick for our tight end. I like Jonathan Taylor, and I like Derrick Henry. So I like our 1, 2, 3. It's going to be a matter of health for Henry.
James Cook in that 3rd running back spot. That's kind of why. Well, we were looking hard at Josh Allen, and right when y'all took him, it's like, all right, let's go with the 3-headed running back monster. Mm-hmm. Like we were possibly going to take Josh Allen right there in the 4th round. Yeah, and
kind of like you were saying, like you're banking on players maybe having a breakout or an improved season. So like the Zay Flowers pick for me, I think was more of a potential pick. He should take a step forward now as a sophomore with another year for the Baltimore offense to be a bit more pro-style centric with their passing. So
a lot more spread out too if they got a solid running game.
Right.
Henry and the thing I was surprised is Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
That was one where they got to our pick and like my running back list, he was still kind of floating with like a bunch of spaces under him. It's like, why hasn't he been picked yet? Like we should take him because I'm sure if he stays healthy, he'll be having a decent year. I'm completely okay with Stafford where we got him in the 9th, 10th round maybe? 11th round.
11th. I feel that's a decent value. We could have gone up and gotten a quarterback early, and we talked about it. But once Josh Allen came off the board, we were content with waiting a little bit further as we made other picks to kind of help fill out some spots.
So that was Anthony Richardson right before Stafford. Is that the flow that I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we were saying, okay, we maybe start him, pick him if it was low enough, but we didn't want to risk it, like say 5th round or something. Even though he was ranked that high and people think he's going to do great things, but he could be hurt to week 4. You never know.
I wouldn't say we have like stud headliner names. I'll just say other than maybe Laporta and Jonathan Taylor when he's healthy, yes, is a stud player, but we don't have like a flashy like Mahomes or Allen or
Derrick Henry
or CeeDee Lamb. Well, Henry, yes, but okay. I think everyone is starting to maybe say, hey, when does he start declining a bit?
Right,
I don't know. I would agree. As far as on the team Todd and I drafted, I think we have solid enough 1-2 punch at running back. We got arguably the best quarterback in the league with Josh Allen. George Kittle's always a solid tight end. Our question marks definitely come at receiver, but I do look at guys like Drake London and George Pickens and Christian Kirk, and I'm looking at it and saying that they shouldn't really have many people trying to battle them for a whole lot of touches. So that's another thing that kind of excites me to see if those guys really have those step up breakout seasons and
I think
end up being the lead dogs.
something that said Josh Allen is like QB1 that didn't, like made him top fantasy quarterback like 4 out of 6 years or something.
Yeah.
I forget how many he's been in the league by now, but I mean, to have it like 4 times, they said that Mahomes, believe it or not, has only done it like twice.
His thing this year is going to be just seeing who's going to be able to step up for him at receiver because, maybe it's James Cook for y'all who catches and comes on as a receiving back, but because he lost both.
He should have a good year if he stays healthy.
He still got Knox too. Huh?
Yeah. I honestly, everyone's making a lot about the fact that he lost Diggs and
Gabe
Davis. But at some point, he still has to throw the ball to someone. And it's not like, yes, he has a rookie in Coleman who, if you watched him in college, has all the upside you'd want. So he's a rookie. He's going to struggle for a little bit, sure. The other 2 receivers they got, Curtis Samuel.
I was going to say, we took Samuel at the end for that reason.
Yeah. And what other receiver did they pick up? What do they have?
The Shakir guy.
Shakir, who was there last year.
They already had him,
Yeah. But to go with the tight ends, I think they're going to be just fine.
I hope so. I'd like to see him do what he did for us last year.
Cook had like 60, 70 catches last year. He was no schlub in the passing game.
Well,
he had like 400-something yards receiving and more. He had more receiving touchdowns than rushing touchdowns.
Well, remember Rodgers when he was in Green Bay? One of his last years, he didn't have any receivers at all, and he still put up great numbers.
Yeah,
so
he was like yelling at Christian Watson, and dropping balls and stuff. Yeah, that was like still an MVP season.
Look at Mahomes last year. He didn't have the greatest receiving core. He still put up really good numbers and touchdowns like that because he had other pieces, be it his running back and his tight end, to help him. But at the end of the day, he is still an elite quarterback. He's going to get the ball. As long as they make a majority of catches, they're going to be fine. So I think the Bills are going to be fine offensively.
Oh, they've been saying that for 40 years, that the quarterback makes the receivers. I mean, Brady's never had, other than Moss, who else has Brady ever had, but he makes trash cans look like all-star receivers.
Yeah.
Not Welker, but you know what I'm saying. But Welker didn't really break out until he went to the Patriots. So,
Yeah, like we've already kind of hit on before. It sounds like we all seem pretty content with our teams at this point. Of course, that could fall apart really quickly as the season starts, or it could definitely go in the favor to where we skyrocket and get more confident.
We need to follow up next time with their draft grades and joke about that when you find us, it means I'm going to win the league.
Is anyone else in multiple leagues this year, or just this one?
So I already got pulled into my work league at the new school I work at, and it's a 14-team league, so I'm not super excited about it because I know that's when you're going to start scraping the bottom of the barrel for players when you have that many teams. But it's a very cheap league, and I decided to do it just to get to know my coworkers a little better, and I'll probably have Carson and maybe Camden if they want, since they were mad that Matt Batty showed up and they didn't get to take his team place. I'll let them run my team if they want, but that's really it. I mean, my work league is totally secondary to this league. So,
yeah, my work league draft is Tuesday coming up. It's 14 teams. Well, I've been a commissioner since 15 of that league, and it's only $40. But it's been as high as 18 teams, which was bananas. Because it was basically like you get like one quarterback, running back, receiver. And it's like everything else is flexes because there's nothing else to do. It was like finding a wide receiver 2 was impossible. It was like starting a tight end as my W/T. But it's like that with 14. But because in that league, having Trey McBride, I had Evan Ingram already. Trey McBride, sticking him in that flex wide receiver spot was like a steal. I ended up winning it last year. I had Breece Hall and kind of some steals. It depends on the people you're in these with, like knowing that even 14 teams. I have the 14th pick, by the way. I guarantee you the top 5 quarterbacks are going to be gone.
Sure.
By the end of that first round. I'm going to be starting, I might be starting Kevin Williams in that league because it's 14 teams. I have one more with the men's club next 2 weeks, September 4th.
I have one other league with my kickball team on Labor Day night to do a draft for, and I'm probably going to find just a random either ESPN or Yahoo Dynasty or Keeper League, just because I've never played that before and I can handle 3 leagues, but I want to try it out and see how I like it, to see if I would join a friend's money keeper league next season. So I'm gonna try that out just because I've never done it before. It seems interesting. I just didn't have a chance to do so. Russell, do you have any other fantasy leagues?
No,
Just Final Fantasy.
no other fantasy leagues.
Just Final Fantasy. Just World of Warcraft league.
If there was a Final Fantasy league, I'd be all about it.
No, I'm sure.
Todd, you've never gotten pulled into a work league since you've been at your new location?
Nope. The old league that I had, I did it once at my old school, and they tried to get me in to do it last year when I was at a different school, but I just didn't. Me, it's hard. It's hard to keep up with two teams because you're wondering like, oh shit, which guy? I have this guy. What team is he on? Is he on my money team or is he on my non-money team? I just like doing one league so I can focus on one group of players instead of multiple groups of players.
Yeah, honestly, with 3 leagues, Tuesday nights kind of suck because like you got to get all the waivers in all 3 leagues, and when you have to have waivers in by Wednesday morning, then it's a lot to figure out. And then sometimes you're like, wait, do I want the same guy on all 3 teams or 2 teams, or you know what I mean? It's like a lot of That's if I remember over recent years, I've kind of gotten more lazy with it and not cared. And just like Wednesday morning, everyone becomes a free agent, and you can just go add drop whatever you want. You don't have to worry about putting on, and you have to prioritize it too. Like say, like if you want, this guy more than another, and then you bid higher on him, and then so it's like, well, if I don't get him, I can put in 7 for him, and then I'll get this guy, and it's like it becomes a shit show.
So currently only having 2, maybe adding a third. I've definitely scaled back from what I used to. Like, also there was a time I had 9 leagues.
Oh,
I was
God.
3 of them were money leagues, so I paid attention to those. The other 6 were kind of just free bullshit leagues I did just because a friend needed someone last minute, or I just got bored online or whatever, and I had free time. I won't get back to that level again, but like I treat fantasy like this. I know a lot of people will sit there and check their stats all day, constantly back and forth like that. I kind of just set my lineup, and it's whatever happens, because I can't do anything about it unless there's like a 3 o'clock game and I have a player and there's something changed with him. After that, because I found like I would stop caring about watching actual football and being entertained and just care about what my fantasy team was doing. And when they're playing like shit and I'm getting my ass kicked, my whole mood is crap.
I've heard that. Like that is the most common complaint I've heard about fantasy, like in general, is that people get way too involved in the players that they have now drafted, and they don't even care about like the football that's going on.
Mm-hmm. And I did that for a little while, and I refused to do it anymore. So like now, once Sean and I set our team, I'll look at it probably for the start of the 3 o'clock games. But after that, what else can I can't do anything about it. So
right. I do plan on watching a lot more football than I traditionally do.
It pulls you in, yeah.
Not to go really off topic, but speaking of fantasy, YouTube TV has this new feature now where you can upload your fantasy team like from like Yahoo onto the screen, and it'll, while you're watching TV, it'll have your fantasy team in a sidebar, and it'll like cut to like plays that help. Like, so let's your wide receiver scores a touchdown, it'll kind of cut to that, and you can see the play that happened. Kind of like a not red zone. What was the red zone. Yeah. So like I think that's pretty interesting. I'm not going to pay I think it's like $200 or $300 to have that option on YouTube TV. Not worth it, but I'm sure there's going to be enough people that are going to buy it because it's kind of cool. I just don't need it for $300.
Right.
$50. Yeah, sure. That might be cool to see, but not $300.
Yeah. Well, speaking of watching more games, we had the Saints preseason finale today. Did anybody watch that?
I did not. I was busy with sporting
I
stuff.
watched the first 3 quarters and then fell asleep at my mom's house on the sofa. Well, and I guess we can kind of lump this into, because we're actually about to break down the Saints' regular season schedule and give our season projections. But did anybody have anything that really kind of stood out to them about the Saints preseason? Was there a particular player in mind that you saw and want to make the team or expect big things from, that kind of stuff?
I'll go quick since I don't really watch probably 3 quarters of the entire Saints preseason. I was just busy. Not that I didn't want to, just didn't have time. Hayner, lost the backup job the minute Spencer Rattler threw 3 passes for me. I saw enough from Rattler in the limit time. He had some really bad plays and some just generic meh. Nothing really wowed you other than you can see the athleticism a little bit, and he's shown that when he played at South Carolina in a decent enough conference with some talent, he can play for the most part. Still young, but Hainer for sure is going to be the third quarterback now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big, I guess, debate today, or the whole reason why I was mainly watching today, was to see who was going to win the second string job at quarterback. Because I mean, that seemed to be the big job audition today. And I think Rattler just pulled away and pretty much earned that second string job in today's final preseason game. The other competition, as Travis said, is there anybody you really want to see make the team or really make the starting lineup? And as y'all know, I'm a Mississippi State guy. And I think that second starting safety spot alongside of Teron Matthew is still open. And I believe that the 2 guys competing for it are Jonathan Howden, is that his name? What's Howden's first name? But Jonathan Abram and Howden, I don't know Howden's first name, are competing for it. I think Howden was supposed to be the front runner because we drafted him, I believe, in the 4th round last year. And he apparently showed a lot of promise. But I think Jonathan Abram has outplayed him this preseason, from what I've seen. And Abram had a few starts last year where he played quite well as well. Jordan Howden and Jonathan Abram. So I'm hoping Abram gets the start. I still have a feeling they're going to give it to Howden, but I think it'd be a huge miss if they pass on Abram and start lineup.
And look, my big thing going into the Saints preseason, obviously, chime on with Patrick and Todd here. The number 2 quarterback battle was definitely fun to watch through the preseason. I really think before, today numbers wise, things look neck and neck. But when you got, when they did a thing where it looked like each of them played 2 series. And then they would rotate, and then Hainer would play 2 series, Rattler would play 2 series, and they kept rotating it that way. And just when Rattler came in and he was able to hit Equinemius St. Brown for a nice long touchdown, I think that kind of sealed it for him. Hainer did have a nice touchdown to A.T. Perry that was called back due to a hold, probably on that tight end that had like 4 or 5 holds today. But
our backup offensive lineman, I mean, I worry about our starting offensive line, especially with getting in it, but our backups are just absolute trash.
Yeah, well, you could also see beyond your second string defense too. When I don't know how many of those guys were even going to make the team at this point, but when you got down to that 4th quarter today and it was all third string defense, I mean they couldn't. They made Malik Willis look like a Pro Bowler. So I mean, it was pretty bad to watch. They actually lost the game with 1.5 minutes left, which again, it's a meaningless game. But I think a few guys lost their jobs today based upon some of those Malik Willis drives. But I think the biggest thing I was looking forward to this preseason was seeing who was going to step up at wide receiver. We know we have Olave and Shaheed are going in as the 1 and 2. Cedric Wilson, I think, he didn't play today, so I think that signified that he locked up the number 3 receiver position. And then you kind of have that battle for 4, 5, 6. And I really, if they keep 6, after today's performance, I think you're gonna see A.T. Perry, Equinemius St. Brown, and Bub Means are gonna probably be the guys that they're gonna keep. St. Brown had a nice touchdown. Samson Nakua actually had a really nice missed field goal returned all the way to the 2-yard line before he actually ran out of bounds on his dive to the end zone and stepped out on his dive. So that ended up not getting us any points. But I don't see him making the roster. He may be a practice squad guy, but I want to see somebody step up and really be a clear-cut number 3 receiver for us.
Well, you saying that Cedric Wilson looks like he's going to be number 3. I mean, has he done anything in preseason? I've barely seen the dude. I've never heard his name at all. So I mean, I know he probably wasn't playing today, but I don't remember hearing his name in the previous games either.
They were using him as a kick returner last game. Didn't really see him make any big catches, but
I know. That's a good question. Who's going to be our kick returner?
They were using Wilson as a kick returner during the preseason, so I don't know if that's the plan for him. Now, I didn't really see him do a whole lot, but the fact that he didn't play today makes me think that he's right now locked into that number 3 spot. They also kind of made a big deal when they signed him, like he was going to be,
What about, who was our kick returner last year? Shaheed?
Yeah,
Shaheed. So he's upgraded to a number 2 receiver, so he doesn't return kicks anymore.
Yeah, and he's actually really good at it too.
Shaheed's been hurt all preseason, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's played at all. So, but that's the biggest thing I've been looking forward to. But yeah, I do think Spencer Rattler locked up that number 2 job. Hopefully we're able to keep a lot of our starters healthy because a lot of our backups don't really look that good. So we'll see. Now we're gonna start running through our season projections. We actually have written down the season schedule on when the Saints play, who they play, and where they play. And we're gonna kind of give our predictions on whether or not they're gonna win and lose that game. So we'll go ahead and start. Week 1 of the regular season is actually gonna be the Carolina Panthers here in New Orleans. So what does everybody think about that one?
They'll win it.
I think that's a W. I think Carolina is an absolute. As much as we criticize the Saints and Dennis Allen, I just think Carolina is an absolute bottom feeder in the NFL.
Right. I mean,
Starts from the top, poor ownership, poor coaching.
For as much as we have to complain about be critical of our team and the deficiencies here and there, we actually have like talent at positions that matter compared to the Panthers, who we can say whatever we want about Derek Carr. Bryce Young, through no fault of his own, really, is just not really good, or at least not right now. Yeah. He's a rookie. He has a bad offensive line. He has a skilled player or two, so we'll see. But yeah, we should win that game. If somehow that game goes the wrong way for us,
it's gonna be a long season,
especially with the 4 games that follow. But I'm with y'all on that W. I do think the Panthers are going to show somewhat of an improvement. I mean, they do have, Bryce Young's now going to be in his second year. They picked up Deontay Johnson. They still have Adam Thielen, who actually had a really good year last year. So I suspect them to improve a little bit, but they were pretty darn bad last year. I think they only had like two wins.
I was about to say the Panthers have nowhere to go but up. So they can't suck much worse than they did last year.
But I think all of us have them going with a W for week 1. So that's pretty good.
A W.
All right. So our second game is going to be Dallas against the Dallas Cowboys.
Not to cut you off, Russell. What are your thoughts on week 1?
He said
I
W.
think I said a W. So correct me if I'm wrong. We won against them last year, right?
We lost one against the Panthers last year.
We split, yeah.
We split? Okay.
Well, what was the one we lost? Was that like the last game or something? It wasn't a...
Or did we win one? I'm actually probably thinking 2 years ago when Baker was a quarterback and we lost.
They only won 2 games. Did they really win one against us last year?
Maybe they did. I don't think they did.
I mean, just based off of that, to the best of my knowledge, not much has changed for them. So, W, easy W.
Man with computer. Panthers last year.
Working on it. I was hoping Russell would filibuster and give us some real insight into his thoughts on it while I went through the schedule.
Filibuster, I love it.
So we beat them in Carolina week 2 last year, 20-17. When did we play them again? At the end of the season?
We might have been the last game.
No, Atlanta was the last game.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the one where we were the Jamal Williams touchdown.
We beat them 28-6 at home, so we won both last year.
Okay, ran it down the throat game.
All right, so I expect that to be the same case with Carolina this year. Week 2 is going to be the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. So what are our thoughts there?
That's a loss.
That's going to be a big L.
Yeah. That might not be pretty.
My boy Dak's going to hammer it home.
I have a feeling that game is going to get out of hand at some point because though the Cowboys have had all this offseason drama about their contracts for both CeeDee Lamb and Dak and Micah Parsons, that defense is still very, very good. And it's a home game, and their offense is elite-ish enough that they're going to give us some problems. I think we might lose by 10, but I don't think it's going to be that great of a game for us.
Was it Deron Bland is out for 6 weeks or something on the
Mhm.
pup list? Yeah, Mr. Pick Six. Wasn't he hurt last year too? That was 2 years. 2 years ago, he had all the pick sixes.
Yes. No, last year.
It was last year. Okay.
Yeah, I think he had 6 maybe.
But he got hurt. Yeah, because
Towards the end, yes.
right.
I believe.
This injury is probably lingering from last year.
Yeah, they're still just very talented all around on defense.
Yeah.
I think it'll be now they don't have middle linebackers that much, so maybe if the Saints can do some short intermediate passing to exploit that, but the combination of their offense and defense, I think it's going to be a little overwhelming for us. The offensive line being my biggest concern because we will be tested early by their pass rush.
Yeah. And Todd and I drafted the Cowboys defense. I think they get Diggs back this year as well. So I mean, I think.
Right, he was out all year.
So I expect Dallas to win this one. We'll see. I guess a lot will depend on if is CeeDee Lamb gonna get over his contract dispute, which I'd imagine he will. So I will put this one down as an L as well. So far we're all kind of unanimous at 1-1 through the first 2 weeks. The third game is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles in the Superdome. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start this one. The Eagles are a really good team. I don't see us winning that one even with our home field advantage. So I'm going to say we're going to lose that one as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say an L. I think the Eagles offense is ridiculously stacked. Now, can all those egos work together? I mean, I still think they're gonna beat us, but it's gonna be interesting to see how all those wide receivers piled together are gonna work out.
Well, I think that the egos are gonna really be Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown. I don't think. Who's the other guy? I can't think of his name. Davante Smith. He doesn't really have an ego, so I think he really just kind of concedes to AJ Brown a lot.
He's just a quiet Heisman Trophy winner. He just
So
sits on the side, waits for a deep ball.
but yeah, I do think the addition of Saquon Barkley to that offense is a pretty big upgrade over what they've had at running back for the past couple of years. So their offense is pretty scary. Their defense is probably no slouches either.
Dodson too. So
Oh, that's right. They got Dodson. Yeah.
they're stacked.
I think the big question with Philly is going to be just how the new offensive coordinator works their system to get the ball to those receivers and all the talent they have on offense, along with Dallas Goedert and the 4 receivers I guess they really have. So we have a punching chance just that we're at home. I just don't think it's going to end well because again they are just more talented than the Saints.
I'll segue into the next game because I actually wrote a W for the Eagles because knowing the Saints, they'll pull off a huge win against the Eagles and then they'll go next week and lose to the Falcons. So I'm going to say 1-1 on those 2 games. They'll win 1. They'll lose to the Eagles, beat the Falcons, and vice versa.
They're very much capable of doing that and have done so in the past. With multitude of different teams.
So that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if this is going to be that game.
On the Eagles, if they don't beat the Eagles, then they beat the Falcons.
This game still sticks out to me. This was back in the Drew Brees era. It was we had played the Tom Brady Patriots on like Monday night and ended up beating
I
them.
remember that one.
And we had a really
I was
good.
living in the condo at that time.
We had a really good record. I think we may have only lost like 2-3 games at this point, and then it was eight games into the season, and we played the 0-8 Rams at home, and they beat us. So that's just the kind of things like, and we made the playoffs that year, so we had a really good team, but we ended up losing a game that we should have easily won.
It's like saying the Saints are going to be the Saints. They're going to do random shit for
Typical.
And look, this is no knock to Green Bay because we saw how Green Bay finished the season last year, but we should have won that game against Green Bay last year. Jordan Love was still kind of getting his feet wet and figuring things out, and we clearly looked like the better team. And just in the second half, we just fell apart and ended up losing that game by 1 point. And I still say that's the game that kept us out of the playoffs. So again, Saints have a history of losing games they're supposed to win and winning games they're not supposed to. So
last year when we blew it against Green Bay, and that's before look at where we fell and where Green Bay fell because nobody was expecting Green Bay to be a hot playoff team. But that one game that we shat the bed and gave up 18 points in the fourth quarter and lost.
Yeah, I remember Todd. They came out on the opening drive after halftime, and we had probably like a 17-point lead or something like that. And then first they drive down, score a touchdown, and he says right away, he's like, "We're gonna blow this game," and I'm just sitting there like. And I'm sitting there like, dude, that's way too early to say something like that.
He's like,
And sure enough, they did. They had no offense in the second half. So Sean already kind of gave his prediction there, saying 1-1 between the Eagles and the Falcons. The Falcons game is going to be in Atlanta, Game 4. I'm going to go ahead and say the Falcons are going to beat us there in Atlanta. So that's going to be 1-3 for me to start the year. How do y'all feel about that first Falcons matchup?
That one's gonna be away, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be.
even though being away, I have a feeling that they could steal that one, being that the Falcons might not have their shit together yet. But we'll see.
Just remember, we lost to them last year in Atlanta with Desmond Ritter as their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
All signs point to them being better just because they upgraded the quarterback
everything,
and the offensive coordinator. I
know they made 2 big pickups on defense, but I'm not sold that those guys are going to be the Jesus Christ of their defense and make them awesome. Like I know once they picked them up, Doug Lee was like, "Oh, that's it. Falcons are going to win the division," and they still very well may. But I don't think picking up 2 good players on a really shitty defense is going to make them all that great. But
I agree with you. I think their offense will be so much more improved. So, granted, the last game of the season, we beat them 48-17 in New Orleans. Yeah. I don't think that game is going to be even close to that. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a turnover or a really big mistake here or there that's going to decide that game, much like the first game was a lot closer. If I had to make a prediction right now for that game, I say they probably take the game in Atlanta just because.
You think the Saints win?
No, the Falcons. Just because it's their home game. They should be better. Granted, it's only week 4, so maybe you catch them not really gelling yet or on the same page. But I just don't see that game really going in our favor unless we just turn the defense turns up on Cousins.
So I think we're actually going to win that game.
Okay.
That's. I don't typically watch all Saints games, but I do try and always watch the Falcons game. That's kind of like our big rival, and I'm not even basing this on anything specific, but we usually put up a pretty solid game against them. I know last year, like Pat was saying, they beat us while we were in Atlanta, and then we beat them pretty heavily when they came here. But I just have a gut feeling that we're going to take them in Atlanta.
Okay. You know what? Change my pick. We're going 2-2 in the first 4, boys.
Okay. All right. Since y'all starting to shift
That's what I have 2-2. Like I said, I got win for Eagles, loss for Falcons, but that's still 2.
See, where I have us starting is going to be pretty depressing because our next game, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and we're going to say 5 L's across the board.
Agreed.
So I only changed my pick from Atlanta winning to the Saints winning because I don't want to be the Debbie Downer when I start running through the games we're going to lose. So I want to at least temper myself early and give us 2-2 because it's not going to be good after that.
I think the beginning of the year looks the roughest for us, and I think there's some games we can really swing there. But I think going to Arrowhead and playing the Chiefs, I think we can all say 5 L's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's even going to be close.
We need Mike here for this pick because you know what Mike would say on this one, right?
What?
The NFL's rigged.
Oh, of course.
Of course, at Chiefs, absolutely.
Of course, we're gonna lose to the Chiefs.
The
NFL rigs is for Patrick Mahomes.
The one thing that's really bad about that game, one is the Chiefs, 2, it's in Arrowhead. Yeah. It's a Monday night game, so we get to be put on display for the world to see.
Why would they torture the United States with this?
And we don't have Drew Brees anymore. And Drew Brees, love him or hate him, I mean he came to play in those primetime games to where if he was our quarterback, maybe, but what we have right now, we're not beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead in primetime. So next game. So just to clarify here, so I have us going 1-4 through those first 5 games.
Yeah, me too.
I'm 2-3.
2 and 3, yeah.
Now,
because I don't even think I finished saying my Falcons away pick, but I do think they're going to split with the Falcons, and I think they'll lose the away game. Yeah, up 1-4 to start the season.
Now, this is where, to me, it gets a little interesting because I think they have a lot of games that can start swinging both ways. Buccaneers won our division last year. Y'all know I got some love for Baker Mayfield. But this one is going to be in the Superdome. I think the Saints come away with a win here, and we start to turn the season around. Now we're at 2-4. I think we beat the Bucs at home.
I agree with the W on that one.
I think it's gonna be an L. I don't think the Saints are beating the Bucs this year.
I got the Bucs.
Russ?
I think the Bucs are gonna be the best.
Russ looks
team
like
this year.
he's thinking. He's in deep thought on this one. He's torn.
I am torn, and again, not for any specific reason, but yeah, I'm just going to take the more optimistic route, and I'm going to go with W on this one.
So one thing, Russell is open about not following a whole lot of football. He and Mike did draft Mike Evans, in the third round? Second round.
Oh, second round, yeah.
And Mike Evans usually gets shut down by the Saints because they have he and Lattimore, love him or hate him, comes to play when he plays against Mike Evans. Those two guys hate each other. They line up on it, make sure that Lattimore's lined up on Evans the whole game. And for whatever reason, he has his best games against Mike Evans. So that's just something to think about. So on those, by no stretch are y'all ever going to bench Mike Evans in fantasy football.
No, why wouldn't we?
Except on his bye week. But he just expect lower production on those games because Lattimore tends to play his best games against Evans. But I'm feeling positive about that one. I think we're going to come away and win that one. Now, the next game I think is the one I'm probably most excited about all year, and maybe everybody at this table might be, because we're going to be playing the Denver Broncos here in the Superdome. That is the first time we're going to see Sean Payton on the other sideline against the Saints.
This is a Thursday night game too.
I'm going with a W on this one. I think the Saints are gonna. Sean Payton's gonna come to town, and the Saints are gonna stick it up his fucking ass.
Fuck you, Sean Payton. We hate you, motherfucker.
We need Ian here to get his thoughts on the game.
I think it's a home game for us. I think the fans are going to be very amped for this. I don't think the Broncos are very good.
No, I still don't think there's anything intimidating about the Broncos.
I personally do like Bo Nix. I think he's going to develop into a really good quarterback, but I don't think he's there yet. I don't think they have the weapons in place yet. I think the Saints should win that one, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints win this one pretty big. I'm just, I think there's going to be a lot of fan motivation. I think they're going to, Dennis Allen's going to maybe try to one-up Sean Payton. I think it's going to be a really good game for the Saints.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the fan impact. Like, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think that game's going to be absolute bonkers.
As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind getting tickets to that game.
I
to tell you the
was
truth.
just about to say, I would love to be at that game.
So, I know, Pat, you haven't answered on that one.
We win this game. I don't think the fans, for whatever little impact a fan and cheering actually will have on a game, on the players actually making plays and executing, the fans will not let us lose this game. And some of the veterans, like say a Cam Jordan and a Demario Davis, they will probably play out of their skulls for that game, especially when knowing you have a rookie quarterback who by that week he's only 6-7 weeks in, still a rookie. I don't think they're going to let Sean Payton come in with a rookie quarterback and beat us. We might not dominate them, but I don't think the veterans are going to let us lose that game.
So we all have W's for that one. All right. Next, this game I think is probably one of the ones I was most torn on, because I think this one, looking at it on paper, it's going to be at Los Angeles against the Los Angeles Chargers. I went ahead and put this one also as a W. But I could easily see this being one of the ones that I feel like the Saints should win, but they might lose. But I'm going to go ahead and put the W because, I nothing against Herbert, but I almost feel like the Chargers are almost in a rebuild around him. Their defense on paper looks good, but they can't ever stay healthy. Joey Bosa hasn't had. I love Joey Bosa, but he hasn't had a healthy season in years.
Like the defense is always very
They got Derwin James. Do they still have Khalil Mack?
I don't think.
so.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
So they have guys on paper that look really good, but like Todd said, their defense gets banged up. They underachieve a lot. I don't think their offense is there yet. I know Todd and I are very excited about our Lad McConkey pick. I think he's going to be a slot guy that Herbert can just constantly drop the ball to. But I don't think they're there yet. I think the Saints come away with a W here. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think the Saints pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, much like the Panthers, I think the Chargers are still going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Saints come away with a W.
Yep, I have W on it.
As well.
Win as well. And so we were talking during fantasy talk about how Buffalo lost all their receivers, or two of their top receivers. So we were wondering about Josh Allen, how he's going to play. Justin Herbert, I'm going to maybe contradict myself a little bit. Justin Herbert is still a really good quarterback, but he's coming off a little bit of an injury, but he does not have the receivers of at least the veteran status that the Bills have, outside of obviously the rookie Coleman. The Chargers' offensive line, not great. The running back, they're going to have a rookie in Corum and whatever else. I forget the other running back they have.
They have Dobbins and Edwards. They picked up the two guys from the Ravens. So.
They will. Is it Everett? Is their tight end?
I believe he still is a tight end. Gerald
So
Everett,
they have a few pieces, but I don't think enough pieces, and I don't think they're going to be able to protect Herbert from our defense at that point.
Or did they let Everett go? Because I think I heard that Parham might be their starting guy. So either way, not very strong at tight end.
Yeah. To contradict myself, Buffalo is going to be just fine because their receivers are still going to be good. Justin Herbert is not Josh Allen.
I agree.
So I don't think he's going to maybe help elevate those receivers who are, I think, lesser quality than Buffalo's receivers to offset this game. So we should win this game.
Okay. So you see, I'm starting to develop my pattern here of a nice win streak, because then our next game we go to Carolina and we play the Panthers again, and I think that's another W for us. Like I just don't. I see the Panthers slightly improving, and again that's from 2 wins to maybe 4. But I think we win both of them against them, so I'm going to go with another W here.
And believe it or not, because I had Bucks, Broncos, Chargers as all wins. I'll put an L for at the Panthers. That's
just a balance of
That's
that.
one of our.
I'm serious.
That's one of our games where we should win but lose. The Saints are good for those.
That's what I'm saying. The Saints are good for winning ones they shouldn't, and then losing ones they should.
Yeah, it's true. I still don't see them losing to the Panthers because they just.
Yeah, I mean it's a
Panthers,
toss-up.
Yeah, they had 2 wins last year, is that what you said? And they're probably finishing with that again this year.
I definitely expect them to lose to somebody that we should be winning to, but I'm going to take the W on this one.
Okay.
Not to jump ahead, but you were talking about a winning streak. I have us on a 4-game winning streak because we're going to lose to the Bucks.
Okay.
But the Broncos, Chargers, Panthers, and I'm going to call it early. The game against the Falcons in New Orleans, we're winning that one too.
Well,
so we're going to go.
That's kind of why I said W, because I was like, that would put 5 in a row if I put a W.
And I know it doesn't happen often with the Saints, but I'm looking at this schedule and I just really feel like we can do it. And let's go ahead and jump into that one, because I'm going to say Falcons at home is going to be another W, much along the lines of going back to that Sean Payton Broncos game. The fans are just there for this game. The Falcons at home. I don't see us losing that one. I think the dome will be rocking. Hopefully there's some, conference championship talk going on at this point. And I really think we come to play on it and take the win.
Me also saying losing at the Panthers is also like the toss-up that, at Chargers I have W, at Panthers lost. That easily lose the flip-flop. They did beat the Chargers. Lose to the Chargers and then beat the Panthers again.
I already said I think the Falcons, they're going to split with the Falcons, and then we're going to win the game. So if I can Saints will win this one.
Yeah, I think we're beating both occurrences, so W all day.
Okay.
Again, like I said, I expect us to win this game, and for the same reasons that we beat the Broncos. The veterans on defense will not allow Atlanta to come in here and beat us. And also, for as much improved as Atlanta should be offensively with an upgraded quarterback and an offensive coordinator, Kirk Cousins, unless something happens, will probably still be their starting quarterback. Yeah. It's not like he's an elite quarterback. He's a very, very, very good quarterback.
He turns the ball over.
He will still turn the ball over. Look at the game they lost to in the playoffs last season. Who they lose to? The Giants? Who beat them last year in the playoffs?
Cousins was out. What do you mean?
Who did the Vikings lose to?
They made the playoffs?
Maybe it was the year before. Either way, that Cousins himself, he's not a world beater. He's a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not the elite level. He is prone to mistakes.
We know that.
Right.
I think he finally won a Monday night game or something like that.
Kirk's going to show up at some point, and we're going to hopefully pick a ball off or two that will maybe end that game or stop any kind of momentum they may have had.
Right. So we're all kind of feeling W at home against the Falcons. The next one I think is one of the more interesting games as well. This is going to be Cleveland Browns in the Superdome. I can see this game being a very low-scoring game. I can see it being a defensive struggle. But I have us with a W. Like I'm not a believer in the Browns' offense. I'm not a huge believer in our offense. But I feel like it could be one of these games where we see a groupie game-winning field goal. I think it might be like a 6-3 victory or something along those lines. But I'm not a believer in the Browns' offense. I know Chubb if Chubb comes back healthy, he's an animal. Not a huge believer in Deshaun Watson. I think Flacco was a blessing for them. So I could see the Saints pulling this one out with like a 6-3 game-winning field goal. I have a W.
I pretty much was thinking along the same lines as you. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, but I think the Saints will probably edge it out in the end. W for the Saints.
I don't know, but L. Flip a coin.
I feel like this is a coin flip for me, but just because this is a home game, right?
Yes.
I'm going to go W just based off of that.
To be honest, the dome field advantage has not been very good recently. They've been sucking at home.
I agree. But for a Sean Payton return and for the Falcons, I think that's different now.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't write it in ink. I wrote it in pencil as a W. But you talk about the games that the Saints, quote unquote, should win, but then they somehow screwed up and we lose it. Yeah. This is that game for me because Deshaun Watson does not look anything like he did when he was in Houston. And for the last 2 years, Chubb, who knows what's going to be with him? What about the receivers? The defense is the only thing for the Browns that worries me, but their offense not so much. But this is the game that feels like we would find a way to lose that game. Mm-hmm. So I have it as a W in pencil.
So if this is the 6th win in a row with the way that I'm projecting. So with that being said, I really feel like especially if Peyton comes in and we win this game, like we're going to be amped up as all hell, and like the fans are going to be there for those games now.
The Saints on a more than 3 to 4 win streak terrifies me because something's got to happen and be bad.
Mouth, honestly.
Yeah, it's either Denver or.
But go ahead with the goal and move to the next game.
It's either Denver or.
I actually have 6. I have 6 in a row right here. So we start off with a W, then lose 4, then win 6. So it's very streaky.
I have a 5-game win streak, and that terrifies me now.
Yeah, it's probably not likely, just being how we know the Saints play, but
or just the NFL, nature of the NFL in general.
Right. Biggest win streak's 3 games on my lineup.
So I'm looking at this and just thinking we should win them. Then we have the bye week, and then the next one.
We won't lose that week.
This was the one I was actually probably most torn. I actually just scratched out a W and put an L. After I'm really thinking about it, the Rams are, to me, not that great of a team, but they do have really good receivers.
I think the Rams might have real bounce back year this year.
Patrick and I think so with our staff prediction in round 11.
Curious to see what they do with running back because Kyron Williams had a really good year, but I keep hearing they're really high on Corum. I could see this one being the opposite of the Browns game. I could see this being one where the Rams get up early and we have to get almost in a shootout role with them. But I think the thing that gives me a little hope in this is I don't think the Rams have really done shit to address their problems on defense. Their offense is stacked, but this is one of them I can see us losing in a shootout to the Rams. So I went ahead. I actually originally put a W, but after I'm thinking about it, I think that passing game is going to be a little too much for us, and I'm going to say the Rams are going to probably squeeze out the W here, and the Saints lose.
I think he's going to ever come back, so to speak. I mean, it's like he's been had such that monster year, and he's just been like dealing with nagging injuries and let Puka Nakua out trying to.
To be honest with you, I could easily see Cup, Stafford and Cup rekindling their if he's healthy, and
because then Stafford was hurt too. So
he may make Nakua forgotten, so maybe that Nakua pick,
then Puka Nakua's hurt right
second.
now. I think he's supposed to be ready for week 1, right? Yeah.
Mention Nakua's healthy though.
So all right, so I have a close L there.
I have an L too, and I think this could be one of those games where somebody actually comes to the dome and just destroys us. I think the Rams are going to be surprisingly, they're going to have a bounce back year and they're going to be one of the better teams in the league this year.
Yeah, I have it as an L.
I also have it as an L, but it's mainly because that would be the 7th win in a row for me, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yep.
And look, I hope I'm wrong because I hate McVay. I think he's a douchebag and not really a fan of the Rams in general. But I just feel like they're going to have a bounce back year this year.
I agree with you, Travis. This is a shootout, and it's an L for us because neither of these teams defensively will be able to deal with the other. The Rams have no defense. The Saints have a lot on their plate to deal with. If the Rams come in healthy with Stafford, Nakua, and Cup plus Kyron, that's a lot to ask of our defense, which can play well. But they're gonna be spread out. I'd say this is the game we probably lose, but close. But it'll be a shootout.
So again, I had us on a 6-game win streak up until then. The next game, it's in New York against the Giants. The Giants should again be one of the worst teams in the league. Looks like on paper. I went ahead and put it as a W for that reason. But this could very well be another game that we go on the road and should win but lose.
We'll give one of their 2 wins.
But I am going to say it's a W.
Yeah, W here.
Yeah, the Giants are cesspool W.
I think this is going to be that game that we're expected to win. But I still have it as a W.
Could be because it's
This is like Pat was saying, penciled in.
And I actually think Daboll is probably a pretty decent coach, but they really aren't doing anything to provide. And I personally like Daniel Jones, and I would love to see that guy be successful, but I don't think they've done anything to really help him. Like they continue to not put weapons around him, and the fans are very critical of the guy. But it's like Wan'Dale Robinson's your best receiver, and Darren Waller barely plays, or Darren Waller became a ghost last year. It's like,
And elite neighbors now. It's gonna be interesting.
So
Akers is probably the number 1. No?
Do they still have Sterling Shepard? That's what good on that team.
I don't know. Somebody picked him up. What the Bucks did, I think.
Really?
Yep, I think
He's
the
finally
Bucks.
not on the
I
Giants.
think the Bucks picked him up.
We win this game. It might be close for a little bit just because it's an away game, and the Saints will probably hem and haw for a few drives.
With this game,
But
Stop it, lady.
this is a case of we just have more talent on both sides of the ball. As long as something dumb doesn't happen, we should win this game. Because Daniel Jones strikes no fear in me. Neighbors might be great.
They're gonna have Tommy DeVito in by that game.
Yeah.
Fine, please bring that to the party.
Who drafted Neighbors? Because I could see Neighbors being a steal in the draft just because of the fact of sheer volume of that team being behind all the time, and him just constantly feeding the ball to Neighbors. Now that could mean that he's going to get hurt, but
I agree. He will hopefully put up really good numbers for fantasy like that, or just football in general.
Yep.
I wish him well. It's just I saw Daniel Jones play preseason and all of last season and the year before, and I just see nothing that's really going to be worth a damn coming out of
I've
him.
seen Daniel Jones' career.
And you lost your best offensive player from last season in Saquon.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yep. And they replaced him with Singletary. Not that Singletary was
Not a bad player, but
he's on the Giants. So all right, so we're all agreeing on a W there. Now we go back home and we play another team that looks to be in a rebuild against the Washington Commanders. I am going to go ahead and say that's another W. Again, Daniels may end up developing into a really good quarterback, but I just don't think he's going to be there yet. Kind of like Bryce Young, I think he's going to take a year or two to develop.
Yeah.
I see the Saints winning that one. Should be pretty good. Hopefully Chase Young is in the backfield of that game early and often, wanting to get some revenge on his old team. So I'm going to put that as a W.
Yeah, I think the Commanders suck.
Same reason W for me.
They picked up like a lot of new people. There's like a lot of moving parts with that team, right?
Yeah.
You know, y'all were kind of bummed out because y'all were looking to take Brian Robinson. I really think y'all may have. Well, I know y'all got Singletary right after it, but he may or may not be better than Robinson. But at the same point, I really see they bring in an Austin Eckler. I don't see Brian Robinson being much of a threat to Austin Eckler.
I saw Gibson on the list too. They still have that guy too.
No, Gibson's on the Patriots now.
Oh, okay.
So he's gonna be. He might be that change of pace back for Stevenson.
That's.
Who did the Packers pick up? It was Josh Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Because I saw a piece in their preseason on earlier. It was a Packers. It was just starting.
They're saying
They were
Dillon.
talking about AJ Dillon being the 2 still. It's like, man, this dude.
They were talking about him might be the 3 because one of their rookies is outplaying him. I like Dillon too, but that dude just not gonna develop into a stud running back.
So for me, this is another win because just like the Giants, they don't have enough talent yet to be competitive with really most anyone. They may hit a home run with Daniels as a quarterback, but the pieces around him, I don't think are going to be enough. Our defense should do well against a very mobile and competent rookie, but we should lock up their receivers.
And for some reason, they traded away their number 2 receiver to the Eagles and pretty much got nothing for him. So, so I don't really understand that one.
I feel like that's probably like a locker room related thing because normally you wouldn't trade or one of your skill players to a division rival
Right.
for so little in return. So there must be something there in the background that didn't get brought up because you normally wouldn't do that. So that's very odd.
All right. So we kind of discussed this one before the pod even started. The next one is going to be Saints travel to Lambeau to play the Green Bay Packers in December when it's going to be at its worst temperature-wise. Saints are probably not going to fare well with that one. They lost to the Packers last year when they should have won, and now the Packers are a much improved team. I think I'm going to go with an L on this one.
Yeah, I think Jordan Love is going to end up being one of the better quarterbacks in the league this year. And it's in Lambeau and fucking probably negative degree weather, so
Yeah, the weather alone, I'm going to go with an L as well.
it's an L.
Yeah. Not knowing how the season's going to turn out, it definitely has to be an L. I mean, they got high hopes for the Packers. As long as everyone's healthy, the Packers are going to steamroll.
I think we keep it competitive for like a quarter and a half, and then they just start to kind of pull away just because they have the better quarterback. The receiving group is probably about even because they have their new guys are still learning. We have a couple veterans, but I think their 2 and 3 are probably better than our 2 and 3. And yeah, Josh Jacobs, I think is a much upgrade for them. So I don't see us going to Lambeau and winning in December. Maybe if it were like an early September game, probably a bit better. But that place that time of year right before Christmas, I think they're going to be rocking at home just like we would be for Atlanta showing up.
It is sickening to think. It's like almost blocked it from memory that like I said, the Packers, when we lost that game, it was only like week 3, week 4, something like that last year. I think, we had a chance to go 3-0.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the season right there. And to think that when the Packers were all hot at the end, right, that we finished 9-8, we would have won that game 10-7. Just sounds so much nicer than 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
And it wasn't even so much just the result of the game; it's how it happened. We were up at half, and then they come out like that and just steamroll us. So I can't see anything changing when they're much improved compared to us this year.
Right. And it's like when the Packers were hot at the end of the season and all this, and they're like, they won't shut up about them. And it's like, they looked like garbage when we played them. We should have beaten them.
Yeah, they just really started to piece it together, and their defense is good. I think they might be a pretty good team throughout the whole year. All right, so our next one, we head back to the Dome and we play the Oakland Raiders, which again should be an easy W for us. So I'm going to put that in there because I think the Raiders are really a struggling team right now. They're Gardner Minshew just won the starting quarterback job.
Didn't we beat Gardner this past year?
Well, with Colts, we won that one.
I mean, I don't see this being much of a challenge. I don't think the Raiders have anything going for them right now.
Good running back.
Zamir White.
I mean, Zamir White's supposed to be their starter.
We drafted him. But Davante
Good
Adams,
luck.
I think I would not be surprised if Davante Adams is traded sometime in the middle of the season. Because he's a stud player, but I don't think he's happy there.
Oh yeah, he's already been pissed off, and then he had to say like, "No, I want to be here." It's like, yeah, he's saying that, holding up that happy face and he's pissed off behind it. You know what I mean?
Honestly, he should go to the Bills.
Yeah, I'd be. I would.
Or go back to the Packers.
I'd be perfectly okay with the Bills
Or
move.
you should just come here and team up with his college teammate.
Which he has
that.
a huge affinity for him. I don't know if we salary cap wise can make that happen. Yes, obviously it'd be awesome.
I mean,
He might also want to be like in a position where like I want to play for a team that actually has a chance to win a Super Bowl. That's the biggest problem, I think.
He comes here, he gives us a better chance.
Maybe
to
he gives
win.
us that chance.
I mean, look,
Maybe he's that edge.
cool.
We are not a Davante Adams away.
I've been saying
That's the name of that.
I've been saying it since before the season started that I think Shaheed is built more as a number 3 receiver. He's really good in that role. Love the guy. I'm not confident with Cedric Wilson going in as a number 3. And could you imagine having Davante Adams, Chris Olave, and Shaheed? I mean, that would make our offense so much better, especially since we lack a tight end. So that would be awesome.
Can Davante play offensive line and block as well? Because
Trevor Penning can't.
because as great as a pickup as that would be, we got to keep Carr upright and give him some time to find these weapons.
I really, the interior of our line is really not that bad, and I'm really hoping that the first round pick we have ends up developing into a really good tackle.
Well, who is
I
this
think
other
you're-
guy starting at guard? Is a guy named Patrick starting at guard?
Shit, I might be a
Well,
better
that's right.
option.
Well, that's right because we all we have is McCoy and Ruiz now from previous years because we ended up losing Pete, so which is not a huge loss, but. So you're right. That the offensive line is still going to be a question mark. Or really hope the first round pick we spent on Trevor Penning ends up panning out to where the guy ends up being somewhat serviceable.
Not looking like it so far.
Can I just throw in? I've already said it on the text before, but I've never seen such a large human get bull rushed and almost knocked on his ass every single time. It's like by small dudes, by not like Chase Young looking D line. It's like the dude just does not get down and block, and he just gets blown up every time. It's like that one that Jamal Williams played. Jamal Williams had to dodge Penning's ass to go out and catch that pass because Penning was getting blown up into the backfield.
I always say during the draft, like a lot of times you can find like really good offensive linemen in later rounds. Like I always use Jari Evans. He was a 4th round pick, and he was a stud for us for years. And again, I hope Fuaga ends up being really good, but the Penning as a 1st round pick hasn't lived up to 1st round pick yet.
Hopefully, kind of like how Ramczyk was a little bit of that. Flaga's like just a quiet, he's just good, because we focus on the shitty players so much, hoping that they'll turn around, and then Fuaga quietly has a good season, and we're just, don't worry about him, he's a stud.
That Ramczyk injury could be the thing that really bites us because if Fuaga's great and then your big hole is on the other side of tackle where Penning is, then that really makes us miss Ryan Ramczyk.
Ams.
So we cap out the season in Tampa against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I went ahead and again the Saints. I hope this is not a game where the division's on the line, but it very well may be. I put it as an L. I think we lose. I think we split with Tampa. I think we win at home, lose on the road. I'm going to go with an L here.
As I already said, I think we're losing both to Tampa. I think Tampa Bay's going to win the division. I just think they have a much better offense than we have.
The thing that's hard about that,
we end the season on but
I mean, it's the last game, though. It's like who's playing for what at the end, so it might be a bullshit game. You never know. Not saying we're gonna have just resting people. They might be, for all we know.
Well, as Big Rush used to say, if it comes down to the wire, they just wanted it more than we did. They want the game more than us.
All right, so Sean has that as a W. Todd and I have that as L's.
So reading up on this game, we have not lost in Tampa to the Bucs since 2017.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm going to go with the W, just based on
Yeah.
that.
Stat guy, I like
Which,
that. I didn't tell you that's how you win that. Stats.
I didn't know that. That's
It's a fun little fact.
A little nugget.
I originally have this game marked as an L because I think Tampa will just find a way to get this win at home for them. And then I thought about it to go on with Russell's stat he just gave us. I'm looking at it right here. Last year, we lost to them 23-13. No, I'm sorry, we beat them 23-13 in Tampa. I believe they had everything to play for still last year. And we found a way because Baker had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Carr had 2 touchdowns and was clean, no interceptions. I'm gonna stick with a loss for this so I can have my end of season prediction at 10-7 and only because I don't want to look like a jackass when we don't go 11-6 because I just can't 100% see
I
it.
said 9-8 last year.
So I don't want the egg on my face of we're going 11-6 like a homer. So I'm gonna say 10-7 just because
You
I
mean
don't
like Fletcher Mackel?
So that is going to be me at the end of the season because I took the more optimistic route with a lot of these games. And I didn't look at it from originally. I said 10-7.
Yeah.
What I just now finished off with was 12-5. I do not think that's going to happen.
Those clowns on the news like Fletcher, the ones on NBC, Fletcher Mackel, Jim Moore, Sharif Ishak, them, they are such homers. It's like, yeah, Super Bowl predictions. I think it's Saints Chiefs. Like, no,
Right.
Saints are going to play the Chiefs in the
No.
Super Bowl. Okay,
Probably won't be a very close Super Bowl. then.
I'll go in and I'll sprinkle some flashback music in, and I'll go back and find our predictions from last year. Because remember, I think a bunch of us had 11-6 or 10-7 last year, and let's say the Green Bay game by itself, just that if we would have won that game, I think we would have
we
been.
would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, but we would have finished. What the record would have been? We would have
would
been.
have been 10-7.
Would have been 10-7.
9-8.
Yeah. So cool. So what? We all think maybe 10, 11 will. Let's go around the room real quick. 11 wins, yes or no?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, based off of
I think so,
yeah.
yeah.
After just going through that schedule, I
I'm
think
gonna go 9 or 10.
So Sean's got 9 or 10. Mike has 11. Todd's got 11. Travis has 11.
I'd be very happy with 10. I'm just saying.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. I might not bet it with my money, but I'm gonna go ahead and take 11 wins for the Saints. I think I had 10-7, and I was like, man, that feels high.
I
And
think all of y'all were higher. And I'm like,
Oh, I was-
team. It's going to be like
Right.
9-8.
I was
Sure.
definitely either 12-5 or 11-6. I was actually 11-6 before I started, but I decided to change my Rams prediction at the last minute, so I'm going to say 10-7.
Yeah, I got 9-8, so it'll be the third season in a row that Allen finishes.
the schedule has some games that really do us no favors. Like obviously the Cowboys, Eagles, and the Chiefs. But you look at the other games that they're not games even remotely as difficult as that. Like playing the Chargers. Granted, we could lose that game, but that's a game we can win. The Broncos, we should win that game. The Browns, the Giants, the Commies, the Raiders. Those are games that feel like we could and should win them. And then the division games, if at worst we split with the Bucks and the Falcons, we should dominate the Panthers twice. So the schedule, though there are some big name games and teams on it, there are a lot of mid-level games to the lower teams that I think we should beat. So I'm not going to go the homer way and pick higher than that. I'm going to stick with 10-7, but I feel okay about this schedule compared to like last year when I thought about it, about am I making a homer pick with going 10 wins. I can see it more easily than I did say last year. We just got to block out those games against the Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs, and Packers.
So we all kind of feel like they may finish with a slightly winning record, which is good, because again, I was originally much more negative before really breaking down the schedule. So again, I guess we'll see. We'll take these all down and maybe revisit it towards the end of the year and see how wrong we were, or how right we were.
I think we're a very competent team that kind of knows where they are, and hopefully, and one thing we haven't really talked about in the changes with the Saints have made in the offseason. We have a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I have to believe he came from the Chiefs, I believe, right? From San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah.
If we get a 10% boost in play calling quality, just because this dude was adjacent or in around Kyle Shanahan, it has to help us out because we had some just ridiculously bad play calling and execution, but some really bad play calling under Carmichael, and we played sometimes probably very scared. Like the Green Bay game, we immediately were in don't fuck this up mode when we were up 17 going into the half or whatever, right? If this OC can't be worse than what we had. So I'd imagine the offense gets a bit of an uptick from that. Hopefully the O-line can kind of gel and some players who we had hopes for and potential kind of start to play better and fill up their roles. And then Shaheed taking a step forward, hopefully. Olave being the number one and treated as such and getting maybe more targets because he's explosive. Our offense should be better just by sheer addition of the OC and the players having another year under the belt.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point there. One of the things that somebody had mentioned before is just the idea of us having Pete Carmichael for so long and him not really changing a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
That defense is kind of zeroed in on that, and I think that now that we do have some new blood in there, that's going to change things up a little bit. It might shake things up to where it's going to help us out a good bit. So I am excited to kind of see where that goes with the new OC.
And I guess on the flip side, with the offense having another year under its belt to try to gel and get better, even though they're going to be learning a little bit of a new offensive system with this OC, yes, the defense will be a year older. So that's another year older for Cam Jordan and DeMario and this and that, right? But I'm excited to see Kool-Aid McKinstry play because he was an absolute stud at Alabama. And we know he's coached well, he's very intelligent, and he has the athleticism. I think he's going to really help our defense. And on the back end, that will maybe allow the front to get some more pressure to maybe Cam Jordan, maybe not return to like his glory days of sacks and whatnot, but maybe get back to a little bit closer to that compared to last season.
The good thing about Jordan, though, is like now if Chase Young stays healthy and can do what it looked like he was doing in the preseason, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Cam. And then, of course, you have Granderson on the other side, too. Demario Davis just seems to be like an ageless wonder. Like he just never seems to slow down. And I hope I'm not jinxing him there, but
body doesn't have an ounce of fat on it.
Thanks for that.
I'm sure he's got some because that would be bad if he had
What's
none.
the latest
But,
on
yeah.
Kool-Aid's knee? Is he okay?
I haven't seen an update on it, but knock on wood, Kool-Aid can play near to the level he did.
I'm guessing that they're probably just resting him for precautionary
Did he have
reasons.
any injuries in college?
Very little.
Because that would be like this, not the Saints, not like the Saints. Saints luck that we get a dude who never missed a game in college, but he's going to get hurt in preseason.
Don't say that because I think he made most all games last season and the year before.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's what I'm saying is that he
Right.
didn't miss a game in college, but then he'll get hurt in the pros.
And say don't put that Greek out there.
But one thing I do want to discuss before we end up closing out this whole segment, this whole episode, really, is I do have a gear grinder that I'd like to mention to you guys.
Totally football related.
Not football related at all. So we're jumping topics here, but.
And now it's time for another segment of What Grinds Todd's Gears.
So I was at a conference on Wednesday, and this is not the first time I've noticed it. It's just now that it's fresh, I decided to bring it up here on the pod. So Todd and I attend a counseling conference every year. Usually, it's either in Baton Rouge or New Orleans. This year, they're actually moving it to Lake Charles. But this, I've noticed that the same issue happens at that conference every year. Well, I was at a counselor workshop for my current job that was actually in town in New Orleans. And at these conferences, they generally are very hospitable. They have breakfast foods laid out. They have nice coffee stands laid out. And I really became agitated because, I need my morning coffee. So I'm sitting there waiting for my morning coffee. And there is a lady in front of me who is standing in front of the coffee urn or the coffee dispenser, whatever you want to call it. And she's blocking anybody else from getting coffee while she's grabbing her cream and grabbing her sugar, pouring it in her cup, stirring it, doing the whole motions, while there is a line literally forming behind her while she stands in front of the urn. I mean, I think that's just, to me, I was
policy.
I got pretty pissed off. Of course, I didn't tell her anything. I didn't want to be rude in that nature. But at the same time, like, there's actually a separate table on the side that was probably designed for you to go mix your goddamn coffee. You don't have to stand in front of the coffee dispenser itself.
I do that at work. I grab the sugar, the stir, cream, whatever. You move to the side, do all that shit somewhere else. You don't have to do it right in front of the machine.
So I'm directly behind her, but then behind me, you start to see more people kind of come behind me, and everybody's just kind of sitting there like, what the hell? Like, move. And directly to the left, there's like a vacant table where you're probably there just to mix your coffee. So that is my gear grinder for today. When people are totally discourteous to the fact that other people are behind them waiting for coffee when you could have just moved to the side and stirred your coffee.
Well, that's at fountain drink stations too. If someone's taking forever with a fountain drink or they're playing with the lid or some shit, and I'll be like, click and go right around them. Like, can I fill my drink up?
And they'll look at you like they're pissed off that you're like trying to cut them in line. Well, like, have some common decency.
I've definitely reached in front of people while they're like sitting there fooling with their shit. And like, I don't give a crap. Like, you're in my way right now.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that and what Sean said. Like, the fountain drink decision making person that takes forever, they gotta go. That is fucking annoying. Like, I know what soft drinks I like. I have a general idea of what I'm going to get as my drink at pretty much every fast food place I got, because most places have Coke products. Taco Bell and some others have Pepsi. But I generally know what I'm going to do. I don't need to sit there and be like, oh, I want Diet Coke, Coke Zero, like Cherry Coke. No.
Just make a goddamn suicide attempt.
It's not necessarily the decision. It's like because they like playing with the lid and putting the putting the straw in it. Move to the side, do that.
Now, if it's the futuristic Coke machine that has like 50 flavors on it, you can like scroll through the thing.
That's excusable to a certain extent.
That's excusable to a certain extent. You're right. But if it's like the basic Coke products and like Dr. Pepper and all that, like,
and moving on.
Bro, you got 20 seconds to make a decision before I'm like. Same thing goes with maybe a little less. The motherfuckers picking a drink out of the cooler at like a gas station or a racetrack or whatever. Like, hey, it's Coke products, Pepsi products, other shit, energy drinks, whatever. Make a goddamn decision. And they're just like sitting in front of the thing, twirling the fucking. I'm like, yeah. I'll walk up and be like, I'm gonna go around you because I ain't got time for that.
I mean, this can also kind of be relayed back to probably what our second episode ever. I bitch about this every week. I send you guys texts about it every week, but every week when I go to Whole Foods, you have May Ruth looking at the fucking chicken, 2 packs in her hands, like looking, and I'm just standing there at my cart right behind her waiting. It's every week somebody is blocking that fucking chicken.
And it's these assholes that they're trying to do calculus on like, what's the cost per pound of this chicken versus this one? Is it this is $10. This is like $9.75.
$6.49. This is $7.36.
Grab a fucking pack of chicken, get the fuck out.
I think I shared that with you one time when I was in the grocery and somebody was blocking the cans of dog food and they had 2 things of dog food in their hands and they're like. And shit, and I'm like, what do you just fucking pick one? Like, is the price of that gonna make you go fucking broke? Like,
reading the ingredients.
It's like you pay
Each can, put it on their cheeks.
you're paying 50 cents more for one of them.
What make it processed bison?
What antibiotics are in this one? Oh.
Yeah. So and again, I know it. We don't have to beat a dead horse here and whatnot.
No,
but,
fuck that. Beat that dead horse.
But again, I found that very rude. And Todd, like I said, Todd and I go to this counseling conference every year. This was not the same one, but we've noticed it repeatedly at this as well. Now this conference does not do a great job of putting areas on the side for stirring purposes. So I guess it's a little more leeway there. But this one I was at Wednesday of this week had a table designed probably just for that reason. Like, get the fuck out the way, stir over here. It's almost like they needed a sign that said that. Get the fuck out the way. Stir your coffee over here, But yeah, that's my gear grinder for the week.
All right, and I guess on that grinding gears segment,
Wagons out.
Like I said.